Before the game today, I'm finding out that Coach Hafe told the guys to play like champions, and they are doing that so far tonight. The score at half is 49-24. The story has been Kim English. We talked to Mike Alden, and he said that he talked to the players today around 3 o'clock to make sure that they heard about the arrest and about the suspension from him. He didn't want the players hearing about it from anybody else. He also mentioned that there's no days off for these guys, that they're always being watched, and this is a good lesson for them to learn. And let me show you this newspaper that I'm getting actually right now, showing Albert Pujols with the wow. And let me tell you, fans are literally running down the street, and they are heading to the entrance of Busch Stadium. And digging through last night's numbers, they both played pretty much the same game, same field goal percentage, same three-point percentage, even the same rebounding. Mike Montgomery, the head coach for the Cal Bears, loves his big guys. All the forwards, including the guys off the bench, are over 6'8". Their starters, Harper Camp and Richard Solomon. Now these guys like to score, and they like to rebound the ball, so Missouri will have to be tough inside the paint. Now lastly, the biggest thing that everyone's been looking at tonight is the matchup between Jorge Gutierrez and Marcus Denmon. Now Marcus Denmon last night, as everyone saw, lit up the court, dropping 26 points on Notre Dame. We are just about a half hour before gates open, and as you can see behind me, there are a ton of fans here, and trust me, I've been meeting people from all over the country, from Chicago to Indiana and all the way from LA. Some of them are still looking for tickets. Now I met someone who paid $12,000. That was the highest price that I found, that paid that much money because he didn't want to miss out on the experience. I also talked to a scalper who told me he sold 2 tickets just about a half hour ago, up to $2,500 a piece. Now I also met this mom who has a 10-year-old son, and she told me that she's not sure if they're going to have tickets or not, but she wanted him to have this experience, and that is the theme that we've been meeting for everybody. They didn't want to miss the fact that the Cardinals could walk away as the World Series champs.
Well, Cardinal fans got a little bit of good news today.
I know, and a lot of people were very nervous about it because they weren't sure exactly how long Carpenter will be out, and that's still unknown. But within the last 30 minutes, we've learned Chris Carpenter, who has spent the past few days undergoing tests in St. Louis, is suffering from nerve irritation. This, doctors say, is what causing the weakness in his pitching shoulder. Today, the Cards announced Carpenter's test showed no new nerve injury, and the cervical disc injury that occurred earlier in the spring is still a non-issue. Carpenter is expected back in camp on Monday, although there is no timetable for his return to the mound. Earlier today, the NFL suspended Sean Payton and Greg Williams for their roles in a bounty that rewarded players for big hits from 2009 to 2011. Now, a few months ago, Greg Williams was hired to be the defensive coordinator with the St. Louis Rams. At a press conference today in St. Louis, Rams head coach Jeff Fisher says he feels the indefinite suspension for Williams was warranted. Fisher also said he was unaware of the NFL investigation when he hired Williams back in January. As of right now, Fisher has not replaced Williams, but he did admit he would not have him hired if he had known about the investigation. If Major League Baseball has an opening day, but few people watch it or even know about it, is it really opening day? The Oakland A's and the Seattle Mariners are about 6 hours away from Game 2 of the season. That's because Game 1 was earlier this morning in Tokyo, Japan, and fans in Seattle were awake at 3 a.m. to cheer on their guys. First up, top of the fourth, no score. Dustin Ackley leading off is going to hit this one to center and gone, scoring the first home run of the Major League season, about 438 feet. Seattle up 1-0. How about into the 11th inning? Score tied at 1. Runner on second. Ackley's going to single up the middle, and Brendan Ryan's going to score. Mariners go up 2-1. And then the star of the evening, Ichiro, is going to single this one. Watch out! Down the center. He went 4 from 5. He's the first Mariner with 4 hits on opening day since Ken Griffey Jr. in 1990. They're going to win this one 3-1. Here's a reaction afterwards. Over an hour ago, we learned that Ryan Braun's 50-game suspension has been overturned. The National League MVP is the first player ever to successfully challenge a drug-related penalty. You may remember Braun tested positive back in October after he was found with an elevated testosterone level. Braun is expected to report to spring training tomorrow, so he's happy that he got that done pretty quickly. Tony Stewart picked up a win today, earning his second row starting spot in Sunday's season opener. The race ended under caution, though, because of an accident involving Danica Patrick on the final lap. Carl Edwards was able to cruise through the duels today. All he needed to do is make sure he didn't wreck, and he still gets a front row start this weekend, which is good because I know everyone did not want him to see. Because if he wrecked, he would have to start at the bottom because they have to get a second card, and it's very difficult stuff. So it's good. It's good that he didn't wreck.
That is a good thing.
This morning, we learned Josie tore his patellar tendon in his left knee, also suffering what officials called sustained tears to his MCL and ACL. Josie underwent surgery this morning, and now the team has to rebuild.
I mean, I went to the side by myself and I said a little prayer for him to hopefully that will help a little bit. Mainly I just hope he's okay. He's going to be fine.
You can say it was one of Mizzou's worst nightmares, losing budding star Henry Josie.
I do feel it's serious.
You can see Josie landing hard on his left leg. We were just inches away watching Josie, and as you can see, he could barely talk as team physicians examined him on the field, lifting him. You can hear him groan with pain.
It's really hard because, I mean, that's our brother out there, you know, and no one wants to see their teammates get hurt or injured really bad. So, I mean, it kind of affected us, but then, I mean, that just lifted us up to go hard and play harder for him.
It was there watching Josie laying helplessly on the ground that the players realized this game was more than just football. It was about their teammates.
I mean, football-wise, it hurts us a lot. You know, he's a very talented player, and everybody out there can see what he's capable of doing. But, you know, on the human side, you feel bad for him. You know, you don't want to see your guys go down like that, and we care a lot about everybody in this locker room.
And all the team could do was watch as Henry Josie, the man who was en route to breaking Mizzou's single-season rushing record, had to be carted away.
It hurts me to see him go down like that, and but we know that we got players that are going to step up, and Devin Moore and Kendall Lawrence and players like that, so we'll be fine on the offensive side of the ball.
I feel really bad for Henry, obviously, and our whole football team does. But whatever happens, anything that if he has to have surgery or whatever, we got the best people taking care of him, and we'll get him back 100%.
Texas coach Rick Barnes called him the best point guard his team has faced all season. But for Pressey, it was just another game running the offense. In the last 2 games, Phil Pressey made only 5 of his 18 shots. Texas coach Rick Barnes told us the game plan was to take away the pass and let him shoot.
We actually told our team we'll let him have 35.
Perhaps that was their biggest mistake. Pressey had arguably his best game of his career with Mizzou, tallying 18 points, dishing out 10 assists with 0 turnovers.
I know I'm going to have to be able to take the shots that they give me, and I work on them every day, just like my teammates do.
He's a guy the ball's going to be in his hands, and he was making all the right plays.
And even though Phil was most impressed with his lack of turnovers,
I can finish the game with no turnovers, usually win.
Teammates joke with Phil running the court, you have to be aware at all times.
I always have my hands ready just in case, and honestly, probably like 3 or 4 times a game, it surprised me when you pass the ball.
And it's that element of surprise teams face when guarding Phil Pressey that makes coaches think he's a real deal.
I would say it's as impressive as I've seen this year.
To not have a turnover, not to have a miscue is tremendous. And then you look at what his other production, you know, the assist and the points. So he had a tremendous game. He really did. He was outstanding.
That's right, Tyler. We walked around the tailgates yesterday, catching up with both Missouri and Kansas fans. They both have very different opinions on why this rivalry is coming to an end. Surprise, surprise. Oh, and TJ Moe has something to say about it, too.
Well, I think it's kind of pitiful on their part to go to the SEC.
Nothing Kansas do would upset me.
Wouldn't say I'm going to miss them.
It's been such a huge rivalry for all these years, and to think that it's over is kind of sad.
For some, this rivalry starts in college. Others, it goes back for generations. Regardless of when you learn about it, Missouri and Kansas fans have a history and aren't afraid to tell you how they feel.
You grow up with it. It's constant.
But with the nation's second longest college rivalry possibly coming to an end, just like any other normal breakup, fans are blaming each other.
They're looking at the Big Ten first, and then they just jump at the SEC. They just want it out, and then they've got the nerve to blame KU for not continuing the rivalry. I mean, if they wanted the rivalry, they should have stayed in the conference.
I mean, Missouri did take the initiative to leave. And so I think there's a little bitterness in the Big 12, and certainly KU's kind of left holding the bag.
That alleged bitterness is something Missouri players say they agree with. TJ Moe told us it has nothing to do with the players. If it was up to them, the border war would continue for another 120 years.
There's just no way they can stop the rivalry. It's the second most played rivalry ever. So I think eventually it'll come back. It may take them a couple years to come to their senses, but we'll see.
And despite what the players believe, fans I'm at are a little less hopeful on the future between these two rivals. So you agree with Kansas when they're saying if you're going to leave the SEC, we're not going to play you guys out of conference?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, I think we're doing the right thing.
You know, we like to play and we like the rivalry, but, you know, tough luck if they're gone, then that's what it is.
KU, you know,
just switch the roles. If KU had jumped, we'd say the same thing. So, go on, get out of here. We don't care.